Is it the sloth?
Sid from Ice Age, probably one of the stinkiest characters I've ever seen, but take this sloth right here, drag him into the pinnacle of motorsports, and you get one of the most badass drivers of all time, ladies and gentlemen, Max Verstappen. Yep, that's him right there. Now, despite how much I love to mention that Max looks exactly like Sid, he is definitely one of the coldest F1 drivers out there. Now, of course, the competition is just as fierce with drivers like Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, my personal GOAT Fernando, and 2021 world champion Nicholas Latifi, but the reason why Max stands out so much in terms of being one of the most badass drivers of all time is because this man has been batshit insane in both impressive and also heart-stopping ways.
Danny and Sunday have crashed! They've gone into each other!
Man, fuck this shit, I'm jerking off.
And what stands out the most about Max is that he's always been like this since day one of his career. In his debut with Red Bull in 2016, he won his first race with them.
Yes! Yes!
Unbelievable, Max.
Then in the same season, he overtook Nico Rosberg beautifully in Sao Paulo.
The boy just goes and finds grip everywhere else. Okay, you're going there, I'll just go somewhere else then.
Pulled off miraculous saves in the wet.
Oh, nee! Hij is hem kwijt, maar hij houdt hem!
And was performing just as well compared to his more experienced teammate Daniel Ricciardo. And it gets even better when you realize that Max did all of that before even getting his driver's license. My guy was breaking ankles in an F1 car before even being allowed to drive a fucking Honda Civic. However, during this time, Max still had weaknesses, such as being overly aggressive on track and defending like he's being held at gunpoint, which pissed off one of the cleanest drivers on the grid, Kimi Räikkönen.
Well, I don't want to be sandwiched. That's the only...
You don't know what about...
Kimmy!
Well, I don't want to be hit.
But as Max matured over the years, he started to cook. Heck, he started to bake, roast, and toast.
Death wish! Oh, I think I just shit myself.
In 2022 and 2023, Max was such a fast driver, and paired with the RB18 and RB19, he scored enough points each year which would allow him to win both Constructors' Championships by himself. But fast forward to 2024, Red Bull has not been so good. The team is in shambles, one of their drivers are busy doing donuts, and most importantly, the RB20 went from a fighter jet in the first 10 races to a fucking Airbus. But despite that, Red Bull is still a competitive team. And the reason why is because Max Verstappen is driving one of their cars. Whenever the team has a bad weekend where the car isn't at its best, Max would always make up for its deficit by doing something called overdriving. For example, Miami 2024. In the race, Max did not have the best setup. Then he got heavy floor damage where his top speed dropped to the gates of hell, and then gets ass fucked by the safety car, but still he managed to secure P2. Max was such a good driver that he even has team principals acting up.
You know his tidiest lap around here. Look well balanced for Verstappen, but what a...
And I don't even blame Toto here because Max could put a Sauber in the top 10, and that car is so bad that if you replaced it with a steamroller, it would probably score the exact same amount of points. And just to give you an even clearer picture of just how fast Max really is, his overdriving can be so good that it's actually capable of blinding Red Bull from their own flaws. From all the way back in 2020, Red Bull admitted that Max drove the RB16 like it was a turbocharged Honda, that the team ignored the car's flaws for almost the entire season. And in this year again, Christian Horner admitted that Red Bull's issues in 2024 stemmed all the way back from Barcelona 2023, but they ignored it because Max kept winning races.
Thinking about some underwear change. Am I right, ladies?
I cannot believe that Max was so fast that he's actually partially responsible for making Red Bull slower. You cannot make that shit up. But not gonna lie, it's more of the team's fault. Because if you know your driver is capable of blinding you from your problems, why would you choose to do nothing about it? Like, Red Bull actually doesn't deserve Max, man. These guys can genuinely be so fucking brain dead that they don't want to double check their fucking cars just because one of their drivers are winning.
But Peter, why would they make you president?
Well, maybe it's because I can recite all 50 states in a quarter of a second.
And thanks to the ignorance from Red Bull, in 2024, the RB20 can sometimes be so bad on a race weekend that Max can't overdrive to save it, which is a very big problem. But instead, what Max does is that if someone's right behind him in a race and he can't extract any more pace from the car, he decides to drive to the absolute limit of not just the RB20, but also the rules, which can sometimes go like this.
Verstappen over the hill, comes wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton. Round the outside of turn one he goes.
Or like this.
Oh, they made contact. He's got a puncher. He's damaged his front wing. The leading contenders for the World Championship. What the fuck is that? What the fuck was that?
Max is a driver that if he doesn't have any more options, he tries to find loopholes in the F1 rulebook. That's what makes him the driver that he is today. He loves to gamble on these sort of things, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For example, it worked in Brazil 2021.
He's trying to take the lead from Verstappen, but he is forced one.
And most recently, Austin 2024, where Max placed his car beautifully on every corner, defending against Lando and using the rules to his advantage, where he defended going off, which was perfectly allowed by the F1 rulebook. I don't know what the FIA was doing when they made this rule. I think they were smoking a shit ton of fucking pot, but it is what it is. And since Lando overtook Max off track, he got a 5-second penalty, securing Max a podium. But an example for when it doesn't was in Mexico, where Max scared the shit out of Lando Norris twice and got sent to penalty heaven. Now at first you guys might think that these are stupid and desperate moves by Max, but if you think about it, it really isn't. You see, in Mexico, if Max crashes with Lando and they're both out of the race, no one scores points and the championship gap stays the same. And if they don't crash, Max defending that aggressively actually stopped Lando from winning that race. It's batshit insane, but genius at the same time. And this is what makes Max Max. He's a driver who's willing to do whatever it takes to win. Whether you like it or not, he's gonna keep driving like that. Probably because he doesn't want to get the belt treatment from his dad, but you know, we don't talk about that. Other than overdriving and using the rules to his advantage, what makes Max one hell of a driver is that he can also pull off amazing performances from all the way back on the grid. In 2022 Spa, he charged from P14 to P1 not even halfway through the race, and in Miami 2023 he went from P9 to P1, and while he was at it, shattered Checo's hopes and dreams that season and career.
I'm about to end this man's whole career. Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
But one that stands out the most is Brazil 2024, arguably one of the most beautiful Max Verstappen drives I think we've ever seen. And it's mainly because it was one of the biggest shit shows of a race weekend ever. The weather was so bad in Sao Paulo that quali got delayed to race day. And when it eventually began, it was raining so hard that almost every single driver kissed a wall. And thanks to none other than Lance Strolovic, he brought out a yellow flag compromising both Red Bull drivers, knocking them out in Q2. And Max also had a 5-grid place penalty to serve for switching engines in that race weekend. So he's gonna have to start in P17 while Lando Norris was on pole. And as the race went on, it was just as chaotic. This is all the goofy shit that happened. Lance Stroll went off at the formation lap. The absolute baboon just had to do it. So the formation lap went on twice after an aborted start. Sergio Perez spun on the first lap. Alpine and V-Carb were fighting for the podium. Oscar Piastri went ass-kissing. So did Oliver Behrman. Lewis Hamilton looked like he was driving a boat.
Someone said to me, you change your mind like the weather, and I just thought to myself, what?
I never changed my fucking mind then!
Franco Colapinto pulled a Logan Sargent. Oliver Behrman went off again, and so did Carlos Sainz. But despite all the carnage that was going on, Max was just cruising through the field. By lap 4, he was up to P10, and while everyone was being mauled by the weather, he was just climbing up and up and up. He pulled the same move he did on Nico in 2016, overtaking 3 cars in one corner, overtook Lewis Hamilton, overtook Pierre Gasly, then Alonso, Piastri, and Lawson, and after Nico Hülkenberg spun out, Lando and George pitted, but then there was a red flag, and as all the cars went back to the pit lane, changed their tires and recharged, what do you know, Max was all the way up in P2 now. This guy, by the halfway point of the race, was up in 2nd place, just behind Ocon's Alpine, which I'm pretty sure made it up there because the Alpine A524 is such a boat that it does well in wet weather. But as the race continued, Max took the lead of the race, and while he did that, Lando, no chances into turn 1, pulled a Lewis Hamilton 2021.
As Lando Norris has gone off the road, Hamilton's gonna get the lead. Lewis Hamilton takes it away, but he lands on.
And after Max took the lead, he just pumped out fastest lap after fastest lap. This dude was shooting gold every time. And by lap 69, Max won the race, crushed Lando's championship hopes, and secured his 4th title. What a drive. And as the cherry on top is that Max was literally against everyone coming into this race weekend. I made a video back then explaining how Max was at every disadvantage in the later stages of the 2024 season, being against McLaren, Ferrari, the FIA, Red Bull themselves, and yet in just this one race, after starting in P17, Max schooled Lando Norris, schooled his teammate, schooled the FIA by having a 0 penalty race, and well, Ferrari just kind of schooled themselves. Typical stuff. But do you guys remember when Lando said this when he won the Dutch Grand Prix?
Simply lovely, huh?
Well, Max wasn't gonna let that slide, so he hit back saying this.
What an unbelievable race, guys. You know what that is? Simply lovely.
You don't have to be a Max fan to know that that shit goes so fucking hard. But anyways, despite Max's amazing performances, obviously there will always be doubters like Lando Norris himself. He said after the race that Max's win was not talent, it's just luck.
That's life sometimes. You take a gamble, it's paid off for them. It's not talent or, you know, it's just luck.
Now, I'm sorry, Lando, but I'm not with you on this one. Max did a phenomenal drive while you were driving off to the fucking Amazon rainforest. And honestly, can someone please get this man a PR team? Like, I am genuinely concerned for Lando. He keeps on saying things he'll end up regretting, and it's happened way too many times now for it to not be concerning. Like, I get it, Lando, you might be frustrated, but what you pretty much just said was that your win in Miami was all luck and not talent. And Max defended you on that.
You feel Lando also could have won the race without a free pit stop given how quick he was on the hard tire?
It would have been tough. I would have had to overtake 2 Ferraris, Red Bull, Oscar.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always if, right? If my mom had balls, she would be my dad, so...
Like, come on, little Lando Norris. You are better than this. Just please stop talking out of your asshole for the sake of your own fans as well. But anyways, while all of that was happening, Alpine got a double podium finish that actually fixed Ocon and Gasly's relationship for once. Racing Bulls got a decent result, and Sergio Perez couldn't finish in the top 10. This man has had his confidence so destroyed that he hasn't had a top 5 finish from Miami all the way to Brazil. That's 16 fucking races. How? I am 90% sure Christian Horner is definitely enjoying that Mexican yacht, because if he can't go for his female co-workers anymore, he might as well be going for the male ones at this point. Change my mind. But now, since we've covered Max having amazing race weekends, what if he has a bad one? How is Max supposed to be a badass driver if things are clearly going to shit for him in both quali and the race? Well, obviously he isn't gonna be badass. No driver getting a DNF is gonna look cool, apart from Logan Sargent, of course. But what Max does is that he becomes Mad Max, a driver ready to cause the death of 20 kids if it means winning a race. In Hungary 2024, he crashed into Lewis, shat on his team that their strategist looked like she was gonna swim in tears. In 2018, he shoved Ocon and called him a pussy on live television.
I don't really have a lot to comment on that, except that he was being a pussy.
Called out the FIA for having their bullshit rule of banning swearing.
In other sports, you don't run around with a mic attached to you. I think a lot of people say a lot of bad things when they are full of adrenaline.
Raged in a game of Among Us.
Oh, it's Max, Johnny. What? He did it right in front of me. He did it right in front of me. I'm gonna nuke Ireland. You fucking liar.
And funniest part is, Max has been like this since the day he was born. Whenever this dude gets pissed, he gets real pissed.
Dat was dus toen al zo, hè?
But despite most of that being funny, some people still don't like Max because of his temper. I personally like it, but obviously some people don't. But what still makes Max such a badass and likable driver at the same time is the fact that he doesn't give a shit. Every time Max is asked a question that he doesn't want to know about, he gives the most I don't give a fuck reaction. When he was asked if he cares about his legacy in F1, he said,
Not really.
When he was asked about his $50,000 fine for touching Lewis's rear wing, he said,
It's quite a big fine, so I hope they have a nice dinner and a lot of wine.
When asked about the FIA penalizing him for swearing, he said,
This FIA situation, you had to go, you've got some sort of
No
community.
words.
No words.
And then my personal favorite, after Max was booed for winning in Miami, this is how he responded.
It's absolutely fine as long as I stand on the top. That's for me the most important. I take the trophy home and they go back to their houses and they can have a nice evening.
And when Lando said simply lovely after winning in Max's home race, NASCAR driver Kyle Larson saying that he's better than Max, the media asking him if he would change his driving style after getting penalized in races, Max responded to all of these saying, I don't care. What a Chad. So in conclusion, Max Verstappen in his time in F1 has carried Red Bull, made his car seem so fast his own team ignored its flaws, destroyed his teammates' confidence, made comeback drives from bumfuck nowhere, gave us entertaining battles, made not a single mistake in a heavily unpredictable wet track numerous times in his career, and doesn't give a shit. Now, I have never been a Max fan, but he is easily what I'd say the most badass driver of all time. Max Verstappen is one of a kind, and there's never gonna be another one like it. Except maybe for Kimi Räikkönen's kid, Robin Räikkönen, who went from 22nd to 2nd in his first ever karting championship. Only time will tell what this version of Max Verstappen would look like in the future. But this time, minus the beatings and the gas stations, of course.
Unbelievable, Max. Unbelievable. Max Verstappen, you are a race winner. Fantastic. What a great debut.
Thank you very much, Christian.
What a week it has been for Max Verstappen.